Here is why realtors suck at social media. They keep posting the version of themselves that nobody hires. And I know that sounds aggressive. Good, it should. Because some of you have been hiding behind content strategy for 3 years like it's a witness protection program. If you're getting 47 views on market updates, listing tips, neighborhood posts, this is probably why. You think your problem is content strategy. It is not. Your problem is that your content has no recognizable point of view. By the end of this video, you should know why your real estate content gets ignored, what you have been editing out, and what identity your content should actually be built around. Because here is the real business cost. When nobody remembers you, you do not get searched, you do not get shared, you do not get the DM, and you do not get the "you should call my agent" referral. You become one more realtor-shaped object just floating around the internet. It is not your lighting, I promise. It is not your captions. It's not the posting schedule. It is not your hashtags. It's not the algorithm. And it is definitely not because people don't want real estate content. No, people do not want boring, personality-free real estate content that sounds like it was written by a brokerage compliant officer who drinks cold coffee. The agents that are actually winning the attention game, they're not just posting more. They're becoming recognizable for a specific lane. The local guide, the property tour person, the blunt market translator, the investor lens, the funny agent. Just pick one or get filed under generic realtor noise. The problem is that your content is too fucking safe. You are trying to sound professional. You are trying to be helpful. You are trying to be polished. You are trying to make sure that nobody thinks you're too blunt, too weird, too opinionated, or God forbid, too extra. Congratulations, you successfully made yourself completely invisible. And then you have the audacity to wonder why your content doesn't work. You want attention without being specific. You want leads without being memorable. You want strangers to care, but you keep deleting the exact part of yourself that clients actually trust. So you end up posting the same dead on arrival realtor sludge that everyone else is posting. Here's 3 tips for buyers. Here's what happened with the rates. Just listed, thinking about selling in the spring. You're buying your first home. The market is shifting. Here's 3 mistakes that sellers make. Here's your monthly market update. That email your mom didn't even finish. None of those formats are automatically bad. They're just useless when they sound like they came from the same beige content factory. Don't post 3 tips for buyers. Try, here's the thing that every first-time buyer says right before they make a bad decision. Don't say, the market is shifting. Try, here's what sellers in this neighborhood are pretending not to notice. Same category, completely different pulse. Meanwhile, the actual reason people hire you is nowhere to be found. So the moment you're waiting for, here are the 5 things that actually explain why your real estate content sucks. You do not need another content idea. You need to stop pretending that you don't know what to post, because it usually is not the fact that you don't know what to post. It is often just fear waiting for a cute little name tag. You do know what to post. You know what buyers keep asking you. You know what sellers refuse to understand. You know what happened at the inspection. You know what the listing agent did that made you want to drive your car into the lake. You know what the market feels like in real life, not in some beige Canva graphic with a stock photo in front of a porch and then the caption reads, "Market update Monday." God, please stop, just stop. You're surrounded by that content all day long. And the problem is that good stuff requires a point of view. And the best content is usually already happening in your appointments. It is in the thing that you said right after the showing. It is the honest conversation that you had at the kitchen table. It is the text that you almost sent but decided that was just too much. That is where agents start getting just slippery as hell. Because once you say the real thing, people can disagree. They can judge you for your taste. They can think that you're rude. They can think that you're wrong. They can think that you're just too direct, too sarcastic, too intense, too much, too extra. So instead, you post something harmless, something safe. And that safe content is usually useless. That is the part nobody wants to say out loud. If nobody on the internet can disagree with your post, there is a decent chance that nobody gives a shit about it either. The safer the post feels, the less likely anyone is to remember it came from you. That's not a social media problem. That's an identity problem with a ring light and a Canva description. You do not have a content shortage. You have a courage shortage wearing a content problem costume. Number 2, your content calendar might just be procrastination wearing a strategy costume. Agents are Olympic level athletes making avoidance look responsible. You save those reels, you study accounts, you rewrite the hooks, you ask whether carousels are dead, you ask if TikTok still matters, you ask if LinkedIn is good for realtors, you ask if neighborhood content should be a reel or a carousel. You ask your assistant to make a plan, you make folders, you make pillars, you make batches, you make a whole damn command center for real estate content that still never sees daylight. And after 3 hours of content work, nothing has been posted. But you feel productive. Listen, that's a scam. Planning gives you emotional reward of doing work without the risk of being seen. It lets you feel serious without being exposed. It lets you stay busy without avoiding the only question that matters. What are you so afraid people will notice if you post like your fucking self? Not like the agent down the street, not like the luxury agent whispering about countertops, like imported stone is some spiritual awakening. You, your judgment, your humor, your personality, your directness, your taste, your actual operating system, the part your clients get to see in real life. Instead of another generic property tour, you could say what you actually noticed about the house. Instead of another local guidepost that sounds like a tourism brochure, you could say what you actually love, you hate, or you would just skip. That's the part of you that keeps delaying with another round of planning. At some point, stop calling it content strategy. Call it what it is: creative avoidance with a better file management. And yes, that includes 37 saved reels that you swear you're going to study later. You're not studying, you're hiding in other people's confidence because you have not decided what yours actually sounds like yet. At some point, your content calendar stopped being a plan and became a hiding place. Number 3, if your content has facts but no point of view, you are not educating. You're decorating the internet. Now, don't twist this. Education is not the enemy here. Education with a point of view can be great. Education with taste can build trust. Education that comes from actual field experience can make people stop and think. But a lot of realtor education online is not really education. It is camouflage for agents who are just terrified of having a take. Buyers need pre-approval. Sellers need to price correctly. The market is local. Inventory is tight. Interest rates moved. Yeah, correct. Great. Awesome. Wow. Also, painfully obvious. You do not get a gold star for knowing the entry-level talking points of your own profession. You are not blowing minds because you told buyers they need a lender. You do not disrupt the industry because you said sellers should not overprice their house. You are not a thought leader just because you put date the rate over some B-roll of a latte. The question is not, is the information accurate? The question should be, would anyone who does not already know you care that this came from you? That is where most content falls apart. It has information, but it has no identity. It has facts, but no judgment. It has polish, but it has no pulse. People do not stop scrolling because you're competent. Competence is the floor, people. It is the bare minimum. It is the price of admission. They stop because there's a person there. There's a pattern. There's an actual opinion. There's a sentence that makes them think, oh, thank God, someone finally said it like a normal human being. If your post could be copied and pasted into any other realtor's page without anyone noticing, your content is not building a brand. It is adding to the beige fog, and the beige fog does not convert leads. It just sits there looking professional and doing absolutely nothing. Facts make you credible. Point of view makes you memorable. And another thing, your clients are not referring you because you know the absorption rate. Please get over yourself. They refer you because of how you see things. They refer you because you can walk into a house and tell them why it feels wrong before they even have words. They refer you because you can sit at their kitchen table and make the chaos feel manageable. They refer you because you tell the truth when they're negotiating with reality, like reality gives a shit about their feelings. And that is what turns real estate social media into referrals. It's not because they loved your format. It's because you said something that stuck in their head when a real conversation happened later. They refer you because you know when a seller is pretending they're motivated, when a buyer is scared, when a listing is overpriced, when a floor plan is just stupid, when staging is doing too much, when everyone in the room is politely avoiding the obvious. That's real content. Not seller mistake number 3. Try this. Here's why your overpriced listing is not your marketing problem. It's a listening problem. Don't do buyer tip of the week. Try, here's the moment that buyers start lying to themselves about what they can actually afford. That's real estate content with a spine. Not the lifeless version, not the brochure version, not the 3 things to know before buying a home version that sounds like it was written by a compliance department with seasonal allergies. The actual thing, your judgment, your taste, your humor, your personality, your ability to say the true thing in a way that people can actually hear. That is what clients already hire. And then agents go online and just completely amputate it. They flatten the voice, they remove the opinion, they polish out the weirdness, they swap judgment for generic information, they replace personality with professionalism. Then they wonder why no one connects. The content does not connect because the person is missing, not because you need a better template. It's not because the caption needs just one more emoji. It's not because your assistant posted at 11:17 instead of 10:42 because you took out the only part that had a heartbeat. And frankly, it is insulting, not to me, to your business. You are sitting on the exact thing people trust. And when you're willing to publish the most watered down oatmeal version of it because you're afraid someone might have an opinion, good, let them. The content does not connect because the person they trust never made it into the post. And here we go again. The reason you don't want to be recognizable is because recognizable people can be judged. That is the whole damn thing. Once people can tell what you're about, they can reject it. If you become the local guide, someone can think your restaurant opinions are trash. If you become the property tour person, someone can think your commentary is just too blunt. If you become the funny agent, the entertaining one, someone can decide you're not serious enough. And if you become the direct agent, someone can decide you're just a little too rude. Good. That means you have a shape. The safest version of you is broad, polished, professional, and completely useless as a marketing asset. It offends nobody. It attracts no one. It makes no enemies. It creates no pull. It just sits there like a boring couch in a vacant listing. Technically, it's present, it's there, but it's just emotionally dead. And this is where agents get stuck. They want to be chosen, but they refuse to become specific enough for someone to choose them. They want social media to generate leads, but they give the market no clear reason to remember them. And this is where identity actually matters. The local guide with actual opinions gets remembered. The property tour agent with taste gets remembered. The blunt market translator gets remembered. The funny agent who says the thing that everyone is thinking gets remembered. The investor-minded agent who sees every property through long-term wealth gets remembered. The agent that posts buyers need pre-approval for the 900th time gets scrolled past by their own cousins. They want authenticity, but only if it comes with no judgment, no discomfort, no awkwardness, no vulnerability, and no risk. That is not authenticity. That is reputation management with logins. And it is just so exhausting because now every post has to be just perfect enough to protect the version of you that nobody is emotionally attached to anyway. That is a stupid trade. And a lot of agents are making it every single day while blaming the algorithm, like the algorithm personally broke into their house and deleted their personality. The algorithm didn't do shit to you. You did. You did not get ignored because you were too specific. You got ignored because you were too safe to remember. This is not a platform problem. It is a decision problem. You do not need to solve all of social media. You do not need to master every algorithm. You don't need to post on 7 platforms. You do not need to become a full-time content goblin living inside CapCut and talking to your phone in parking lots like you've lost your damn mind. The missing piece is not more content. It is a lane. You need a clearer decision. Who are you online? What do people trust you for? What part of you keeps showing up in client conversations that never makes it into your content? That's the work. Not more moving parts, fewer. Not more ideas, better structure. Not more vague educational nonsense, more recognizable judgment. You do not need to become everything online. You need to become recognizable for one thing: the local guide, the property tour guy, the blunt market translator, the entertaining, hilarious, funny agent like that guy that goes, "Dude, do you know what just rips?" Or the investor lens. Pick a category or the internet will file you under generic realtor noise, because once that decision is made, everything gets easier. Not easy, easier, simpler. The content has a center, the assistant has a filter, the captions have a voice, the videos have a point. The shorts have a reason to exist. Without that decision, every piece of content becomes a tiny identity crisis. Should I post this? Is this too much? Is this professional? Is this on brand? Should I say it differently? Would another agent say it better? Dear God, enough already. At some point, the problem is not that your content needs more polish. The problem is that you keep polishing it until there's no person left. You are buffing the fingerprints off your own business and then wondering why nobody can identify you. That is not strategy. That is self-erasure with a content calendar. The question is not what should I post? The question is what version of me do clients already trust? That is the part most agents skip. They try to build a content strategy from the outside in. They look at what other agents are doing. They copy the format, they copy the cadence, they copy the shots, they copy the hooks, and then they wonder why it feels like wearing someone else's jacket. And honestly, it looks like you're wearing someone else's jacket. Agents who win online usually are not winning because they discovered a magical format. They made a decision about what part of themselves would lead. One is the property tour person with taste. The other one is the local guide who actually has opinions. One is the blunt friend who says what buyers and sellers are already thinking. One is the investor-minded agent who sees every long-term game in every property. The format matters, but only after the identity gives the format meaning. So if your content feels hard, then maybe the problem is not that you're bad at content. Maybe the problem is that your actual value is already showing up everywhere except your posts. It's in the kitchen after a listing appointment, in the car after a showing. It's in the text that you almost sent. It's in the thing that you said casually that made the client go, "That's why we hired you." Your clients already told you what the content is. You just keep pretending it needs to look like someone else's. That is probably the content, not the watered down version, not the professional cosplay version, not the version that sounds like every other agent trying to desperately not offend anyone with a pulse. The real one. And at some point, you have to stop asking the internet for permission to sound like the person people already trust. If you want to simplify your decisions today, click the link below, join the wait list. We're really excited to launch this thing. Catch you on the next one.